Today we have two very qualified speakers to talk to us. First is Renee Wiatt. She's going to talk about contingency planning for small farms. And then secondly, we have Ariana Torres. She's going to talk about selling online through the Hoosier foodmarket.com page. Thank you very much, Renee. I think you can start.
Thank you for joining this Small Farms series. I'm going to talk about contingency planning. Now, if I would have started talking about contingency planning a year ago, people might not have listened as much as they do now. We've gone through a lot of changes in the past year. There's been a lot of disruptions, and it just makes contingency planning that much more useful for farms. So to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Renee Wiatt. I'm the Family Business Management Specialist for the Purdue Institute for Family Business. We are housed in the Department of Ag Econ, and I work with Extension quite a bit. Okay, so let's dive right into contingency planning for small farms. So the four main things we're going to talk about in today's presentation are types of risk. We're going to focus on human resource risk, since that is the risk that we can best try to plan for and have procedures in place for that. We're going to talk about the contingency plan and also having a risk assessment and how you go about doing that for your business. So there are five main types of risk that businesses can experience. The first being marketing or price risk. And this happens when maybe the market price for different crops goes down. You see a dip for some reason. The marketing and price risk is really out of producers' hands. It's just something that you're kind of dealt. Production risk can also occur. Say we have a drought or a monsoon or temperatures aren't where we need them to be. That would be an example of a production risk that we could encounter. Financial risk, those can come when we lose customers, our business gets some bad reviews, and we somehow have a financial problem that way. The fourth is government or legal risk, and this can come in when maybe a business gets sued or there are some contracts that you can't fulfill, things like that. And then human resources, that's probably the biggest type of risk that we see for farms and small producers. A lot of farms are, they're asset heavy, but they're also labor intensive, right? And so when something happens to our human resource and our labor element, those things can really affect our business. So human resource risk can come in a variety of ways. We can see it come from poor communication or people management practices, whether that's poor communication on your social media, maybe one of your business employees makes a mistake and it has legal ramifications for your business and it gets out and your business doesn't look as great as it did before. People management practices can come into play when you have different managers and different bosses in your business, and maybe they aren't the best at people management. Human resource risk can come in the way of management error or incompetence. You can have divorce or death for people in your business, injury or illness, whether it's temporary or permanent. And you can also have temporary leave. So if it's whether it's a maternity leave, it's military leave, some kind of leave, these can all come into play when we talk about human resource risk. So we're going to walk through three different scenarios that can kind of start you thinking about, oh, well, I could see this happening to my business, or something similar has happened to my business. So all three of these scenarios have happened. They're real stories that we've encountered. So they'll just kind of get you thinking. So scenario one, Joe and Jennifer have a medium-sized irrigation business, and they're in business with Jennifer's parents. Joe handles the contracting and construction, and Jennifer takes care of the paperwork and the marketing and promoting the business. After 10 years of marriage, they are getting a divorce. Joe wants out of the business to move to Montana. So kind of think about what this farm would do in this scenario. I mean, so Joe and Jennifer, right, they're the ones making this business go. So Joe is the labor, right, and he does the contracting. Jennifer does the paperwork and marketing. Now, best case scenario, they could hire someone new to come in and do the contracting and construction, and Jennifer could still be in business with her parents. That's an option. But really, what we're talking about here is that human resource that we're losing. So Joe is leaving. So regardless of if they get someone hired in to take his spot, or if they handle it in a different way, there's going to be a major disruption to the business and how it functions. So we're going to go on to scenario 2 here. So Kathy, her husband Bob, her father-in-law Stan, and her nephew Rich operate a 200-cow dairy, and they've got 2,000 acres of corn and soybeans. Bob and Rich are both in the reserves and were both called to duty in Iraq. 2 months later, Stan has a stroke. So Kathy is the only one left. So you can just imagine how Kathy would feel in this situation. I mean, Bob and Rich are, still healthy, you presume, but they're not on farm anymore. They can't really help. Stan can't really help either. We've seen in these situations where neighbors step up and try to help, and they can maybe fill the gap a little bit and try to help Kathy, but that's not a long-term solution. And so this is something that a contingency plan would greatly help and could kind of give them a roadmap to the next steps to take to try to weather this kind of a storm. Scenario 3, the Johnsons own the Sunshine Fruit Market and have 200 acres of melons, 300 acres of apple and peach orchards, and also have berry patches. Sarah has run the store for them for over 10 years. She's very friendly. She knows all the customers. She's good at speaking to people and keeping the storefront going. But Sarah goes to visit her boyfriend in Hong Kong, and he's asked her to stay. So this is the face of the Sunshine Fruit Market. This is the person that all of these customers have been interacting with. This is kind of out of left field. Sarah might be moving to Hong Kong, and what do the Johnsons do here? They can hire someone new, but you don't know the amount of time that it would take for that person taking over for Sarah to really gain customer rapport, get into the business, and really connect with the customers the way Sarah had. So these are 3 scenarios that maybe you could see part of them possibly occurring on your small farm, and you could kind of think through, what would we do there? And so kind of in that mindset, let's start thinking about the contingency plan and how we can kind of mitigate some risk, kind of assess what risk is on your farm, and think about different strategies that we can use. So we've thought about those 3 scenarios, and now what? So formal planning or a contingency plan can help in each of these situations. So really what contingency planning and contingency plans help us do is to focus on the right priorities. When we write things down and really look at the business on paper, it can help us really focus on what needs to be done. It allows the business to function during an illness or an absence of a key person, even if it's a couple weeks of an illness. If you're in a critical part of the growing season that this person was really active in, if this person was the one who contacted vendors, tried to get these crops to market, depending on when that illness occurs and when that absence is, it can really have a huge effect on that business. Another benefit of a contingency plan is that employees have a better opportunity to plan their own lives. It gives them a good roadmap as to what they can do and what would happen if an owner had to step out for a while, and how those things would be handled. So really, what is a contingency plan? So a business contingency plan is a set of procedures, and it defines how a business will continue or recover its critical functions in the event of an unplanned disruption. So I don't think it would be crazy to say that COVID has really caused a disruption in a lot of farms, in a lot of businesses in the United States and different places around the world as well. So this is something that we didn't really necessarily see coming. If you would have asked us in February of 2019, do you see this health pandemic taking over and businesses being disrupted and people having stay-at-home order and things? I don't think anyone could have really predicted that. But having a contingency plan in place for something like this could help your business continue or recover in the event of a disruption like that. There's really no other process that does a better job of making a business assess its operations and processes. And it's a structured exercise that helps us plan what to do when key operations are not available, whether those key operations are in terms of physical assets or key employees, or you can think of a variety of things. So we're going to go through 5 main steps of the contingency plan, and the first one is to just think about risk assessment. So what are some benefits of risk assessment? These allow you to identify and exclude alternatives that expose your business to unacceptable risks. When you write these things down on paper and really map them like we're going to do later, it can really bring to light some risks that maybe your business doesn't want to be taking part of. It helps to guide you to your best options, and it helps you spend your risk management dollars wisely. And there could be, when we say risk management dollars, those could come in the way of backup generators, it could be insurance, it could be just working with a legal professional to really document some things. There's a variety of ways that you could spend these quote-unquote risk management dollars. But having a risk assessment increases the likelihood that you'll select the best options and combination of risk management strategies for your particular business. So the 3 parts of a risk assessment: when we analyze risk, we need to think about threats, we need to think about assets, and we need to think about mitigating factors. So threats, those would be events or situations that would cause financial or operational impact. So we could say a tornado, loss of a key employee, global pandemic. There's all kinds of things that we could list out here as threats. And when we think about assets, we think about physical or financial assets owned by the business. So it's a barn, it's your crops, it's a food grade kitchen, all kinds of things here. And mitigating factors, those are the protection devices or safeguards or the procedures even in place that can really reduce the effects of these threats. So if you think about an uninterruptible power supply like a generator or something like that, if that's a critical function for your business, if maybe you have some refrigerated products that you sell, an uninterruptible power supply would be a great asset to have on hand. Next, we're going to think about the business impact and how we analyze that. So we think about analyzing business impact by way of operating impact, financial impact, and legal impact. So operating impact would be loss of business or operating efficiency. So this, if you have the loss of a key employee, that could really affect how your business operates. If you lose some kind of production equipment, if one of your tractors or your trucks or something like that is out of commission for whatever reason, that can make you have an operating impact. Financial impacts can come by way of loss of customers, if business credit rating goes down, increased cost of temporary help, cash flow problems, say you have a interrupted selling season, that could really cause a financial impact. And then lastly, we have legal impact, unfulfilled contracts with suppliers, customers, vendors, also if your company gets sued or something like that. So in order to truly analyze business impact, we have to really look at the critical functions within the business. So what we need to do here is to list all of the functions that are performed. And so what we mean by that is, say every Monday you go and get cash from the bank for your stand, or you have a meeting with a vendor, or I don't know, these functions can be all over the map. But you really need to list out all of those functions that are performed within the business. And I know this is going to take some time, but if you have this contingency plan in place, it can really help your business in the long run. Next, you need to determine the impact of an incident, such as the loss of a key personnel, would have on that function. So look at each function and think, how would an incident affect this function? Next, you need to estimate the business loss for the duration of the incident. and then determine the recommended recovery timeframe for that function. So when we're listing all of the functions performed, this is where job descriptions really come into play. So at the Purdue Institute for Family Business, we really encourage all family and small farm, all of these businesses, no matter how small you think your business is, or maybe you think, oh, well, there's only 3 employees, we don't need job descriptions. Job description can really help here because they really explain what each person does, and it really brings to light, what your business would be missing out on if that person was removed from the business, and kind of gives you a checklist as what needs to be done. So when we're analyzing our business impact, we need to establish the resources that are required to continue to perform the critical functions. So whether that is, if you had to hire temporary help, if you had to rent some type of machinery from another business, you can list out all kinds of things that could be your resources that are required to perform your critical functions. And so there's 2 main phases that we go through when we're kind of recovering. There's a response immediately after the incident, and then there's also long-term recovery. So response immediately after the incident could just be, trying to repair some damage and trying to get things okay to function for a little bit. But long-term recovery really tries to get you back to where you were, or maybe even a little bit better. So on the risk and impact assessment, we need to consider the probability and also the consequences of these certain events. And we're going to look at these in like a graph format in just a minute, and that'll really help you think about these different events that could occur. But we think about probability, so how likely it is that an event like that would happen, and then consequences, so in severity, cost, things like that. And we need to label each risk in terms of probability and consequences with a range from low to high. And so there's a really good publication that Dr. Maria Marshall and Corinne Alexander wrote, and it's called Planning for the Unexpected, Human Resource Risk and Contingency Planning. It's EC 736. It's through the Purdue Extension. If you Google it, you'll find it. It's a great publication to work through. But we're going to go through an example, and I'll show you a graph next, and it'll really help you kind of think about this. So the example is your operations manager has a major car accident. What is the probability of this occurring, and what are the consequences? So when we look at this graph, we have consequence going on the bottom from low to high, and then we have probability going from low to high. So if you have some scrap paper, you might want to draw this graph and maybe think of a couple events that could occur within your business and where they would fall on the spectrum on consequence and probability. I'll give you just a minute here to kind of think about that. Okay, and like I said, that Planning for the Unexpected publication is a really, really good recap of this presentation and just thinking about the different risks that your business might face. Next, we're going to talk about risk management strategies and tools. So there's 4 main risk management strategies that a business can take. So the first is risk avoidance, and that requires the business to take actions to evade risky situations. So for a simple example, risk avoidance would be, if you do some kind of transportation, just risk avoidance would be not driving if it's icy. Next, we have risk reduction. And so businesses take actions that build an extra degree of safety into the situation within an identified level of risk. And so you can do a lot of things to reduce the risk. And then risk anticipation. So these are things that we retain, but this promotes self-insurance. So risk anticipation and risk reduction, you could maybe wear a seatbelt. Make sure that you're reducing the risk that you have. And then the last one is risk transfer. So this depends on the use of insurance. So if you're worried about driving on icy roads, I mean, everybody should have car insurance, but making sure you have maybe a higher levels of insurance if you know that your business is going to be taking on some extra risk. So we're going to look back at this matrix, this risk matrix of consequence and probability. So if we think about that owner-manager getting in a car accident, the probability of a major car accident is probably pretty low. So you're down near the intersection of the probability and consequence axes here. But if you think about the consequence, if your key employee could have a huge car accident, so the probability is low, but the consequence can be pretty high. So you'd be in the transfer area. So in that case, you'd need to make sure that you have really, really good insurance. On things that have pretty low consequence, for the most part, we want to just retain those and just be prepared. But if something is high probability and high consequence, a lot of times we're going to tell you to avoid that risk if at all possible. A good example that we have here is that we've dealt with a lot of multi-generational farms who are trying to bring that next generation back into the farm. And a lot of times we've seen that younger generation want to start up like a trucking, do trucking and hauling on the side when they're not in the busy season, and which is a great business to start up, and it's great for that next generation. However, we oftentimes tell those businesses, why don't you create a separate LLC just for the trucking part of that business? Because if an accident does occur, it can have huge, huge consequences. And the assets in the other part of the farm business could be compromised if a wreck or something does occur. So looking at this matrix and trying to see, those different scenarios that could happen and kind of place those different events and try to see what you should do as far as retaining, reducing, transferring, or avoiding those risks. So risk management tools, we're going to identify the potential risk management tools and their associated cost, and use that during your business impact analysis. So try to think about the different costs of these different tools. When we're talking about risk management tools, the first thing you want to do is document procedures for handling an incident. So who performs what business functions. This goes back to listing out the functions that your business has and kind of seeing what all your business does in day-to-day, and what functions are really, really critical for your business to keep going. So it's good to have a checklist for employees that details the procedures for each critical business function. So detailed job descriptions, like I mentioned before, and cross-training employees can also be a huge benefit here. If you have more than one person that is trained for different parts of the business, it can really help if one of those individuals is out either short-term or long-term. You want to detail procedures for handling finance issues, so have accessible and up-to-date financial records. Maybe this means storing some of those business records on the cloud, having a separate copy of your financial records somewhere else. We did a study about Hurricane Katrina, and we talked to a lot of small businesses, and a lot of those businesses lost all of their records. So it's not a bad idea to have a second set of financial records stored somewhere else that can be accessed off-site if need be. And then at the end here, we need to make sure that we plan reviews, and they should be performed at least annually. And so businesses normally aren't stagnant. Things change, people come into the business, people leave the business, someone gets married, the business expands in different ways. So it's really important that once you do have your contingency plan written out, you review it annually and make sure that you update it and have plans in place, and also communicate those plans to your employees and key personnel in the business. So next we need to think about risk management goals. So you need to determine your risk management goals, and goals provide targets to aim for, and they provide a basis for evaluating your business performance. It's important to involve key family and family, and key employees in the planning process. It helps to create a sense of group ownership of the goals of the business. And lastly, we need to document the plan. All of this is for naught if you don't document the plan. So there's a good resource through the Purdue Extension Women in Ag group. It's called Code Red. It's contingency planning for your farm and family operation. And what this is a Excel spreadsheet, and it really goes through each piece of the business and records and things like that. And it helps you to document where everything is. And it's a good thing to have on hand and multiple copies of. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. Maria Marshall is the director of the Purdue Institute for Family Business, and I'm Renee Wiatt. I'm the Family Business Management Specialist for the Institute. I would also encourage you to visit our website if you're interested. It's purdue.ag/fambiz. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and if not, we can turn it over to Ariana.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope everybody is having a good start of the week. My name is Ariana Torres. I'm a faculty at Purdue between Horticulture and Landscape Architecture and Agricultural Economics. And I'm going to present today something that we've been working on. It's a project that actually came out as an effort to support sales of local foods. And this is a collaboration with Microsoft, and the leader of this project is Dr. Amanda Deering. So if you have worked on food safety, she's a food safety expert in Extension. So she's the leader, and I am primarily looking into the marketing and how to support the adoption of this. So basically, HoosierFoodMarket.com, it's an online platform that it can help businesses, primarily food businesses, but I know candle businesses or other kinds of agricultural products can be sold through the market. And it's a free platform. So basically, I'm going to guide you today through very briefly what it takes to start selling. And we know some businesses have started selling, so we're very excited to have these as another tool. We don't think this is going to replace how your business usually operates, but we do think that these can help. If you don't have a website, or if you want another channel to be visible for consumers, this is another one that it's free for you guys. So this food market, so HoosierFoodMarket.com is powered by a platform, an open source platform called Open Food Network. And this is a global network. It's in many countries: Australia, Canada, some in Europe, some in Latin America, and some states in the United States. So basically, we're using an open source platform to have something that it's tailored to Indiana, and to Indiana farmers, Indiana businesses, and Indiana consumers. So what is Hoosier Food Market? It's pretty much a software. It's an online website that helps you sell, but I think there is some hidden benefit there. One of them is understanding how much are you selling. So you can keep track of records, you can keep track of inventory, which can be very critical, especially during COVID, when there's a disruption in sales, orders, etc. You can also get reports for delivery and packing, and it just creates these linkages between buyers or consumers and farmers or business owners. It can also help you with managing payment. There are different payment sources or charging sources. And then products a consumer can buy from many stores as they want. But what do you think to consider? If you're using a farmer's market, so let's say you're selling tomatoes or you have produce, farmers markets can also be part of this online tool. Actually, farmers, food hubs, farmers markets can have an online shop that they can use this. I would consider something that you need to consider is what products you have and how diverse. And this is regardless, the next point is regardless if you're selling here or you're selling curbside or or pickup or delivery, you have to have weekly communication with your customers. Right now, during COVID, it's very important that your customers know not only if you're selling, but what are you doing to keep safety. You also can keep track of safe pay methods and also delivery. You have to consider how do you plan to deliver those, especially if you're just starting. So this is how it looks like. This is an actual shop in the HoosierFoodMarket.com. So as you can see, the Good Life Family Farm, it's in Frankfort, Indiana, and they have a very nice profile photo. The other thing that you can see in this shop is the variety of products they have, and there's a description of each product. If I want to buy how many quantities I got, there's a price, and then there's immediately a side check. As a consumer or as a buyer, I can get my shopping cart like you would do in Amazon, and then you can go ahead and pay for it. I actually did my first purchase online on Friday, and it was very straightforward. I have a testing site, but as a customer, I did my first purchase, and it was pretty easy. So I would really encourage businesses to use this. So what do you need to do? I don't have much time to cover all the details, but that's something that we're working on. We're gonna put videos of different steps that you can take to start selling online. But basically what you need to do is register, of course. So like if you would start your social media account, you need to register your address, your name, your phone number, your email address. Then you need to list your products. And I'm gonna guide you very briefly through that. If you're part of a farmer's market or a food hub, you can connect your business to that specific market. In other ways, let's say I'm a part of a food hub, so I'm basically selling to the food hub. Customers can buy from me or they can buy from the food hub, so that communication is pretty transparent. So how can you use it? So let's say, as I told you before, OFN stands for Open Food Network, which is the main platform or the behind the scenes kind of technical thing. So let's say you just want to have a profile. In that case, you just want to tell customers, hey, I'm here for business, I'm open. So you can just create a profile, you put your website, your social media account, you tell what you have, but you're not going to sell. So as I said, it creates visibility on your store through an online network. And our hope is that as more farmers and agribusiness use this platform and more customers purchase from it, then we're going to see a lot of strengths and a lot of power on you having just a profile. But let's say you do want to sell products. So you can sell products as a farmer or as a single business. You can sell products through others, as I told you, as a food hub. So how do you register? So first you need to go to HoosierFoodMarket.com, and you're gonna, here you see that you can log in, but you need to sign up if this is the first time. And you're gonna receive an email to confirm your email address, and as soon as that, it leads you to a link to this screen. And basically there, you need to create your profile. As I said before, you create your profile as a producer or as a food hub, and you can create a shop, which is another layer of saying, hey, I'm gonna sell you, and people can buy from you through PayPal, credit cards, or cash. So you're gonna get that link on the email to register. And what I consider very useful is your name. So you have to have your enterprise name, but also your address is very important. And since this is online, you need to have a very accurate description of your address. So I would encourage you to also put your primary contact. So this is an example that when I created my test site, I'm obviously not selling anything, but I created Hort Business Test. So Hort Business is my extension program. Phone number is very important because that's one of the ways that customers may purchase. We know that the increase on online sales from local foods has skyrocketed. We know that if a farmer is selling through a CSA, they're probably sold out on memberships. So we know that consumers are using online channels, but there's people who prefer to call. So you need to have your phone number. The next step is to say, hey, I'm a producer. So if you're a producer, of course, you're producing, you're growing, you're raising, you're baking, fermenting, canning, whatever you're doing, then you're a producer. But you can also be a food hub or a reseller, right? Or a wholesaler. So that is another option. And we know of businesses who are using this tool to try to capture that demand, that excess of demand that they can meet to buy from farmers through this channel. So there you're ready. But here's the most important thing. You have to have a description. So your short description is my name or the name of my business in this case, but the long description is, I would suggest putting your mission and vision. And why is that important? Because that's how you're going to differentiate yourself from others. When we're looking into online sales, other businesses are 5 seconds away because you can click and then you're gonna be looking for other business. So that's very important. You can put your tax ID, your legal business name, and if you charge sales tax or not. In this case, I don't. Another important thing is adding your logo, so your image, and that has to be very similar, or if not the same, I would suggest the same, that your social media profile and website, because what you're building is brand. They're bringing the brand of your business through another platform. So you would want to have the same images. And then you can create a banner, which is really nice because it just tells the other people. So in my previous photo, my whole business is just my name. But then I say, hey, I'm connected to local food. So the banner tells a picture, gives a picture of what am I doing and why am I doing it. So my website, Twitter, and connect your social media. All your social media accounts should be there because people, especially right now, everybody, I think the time that people are spending online or on cell phones has increased by 50%. So if you have a store and you have your social media accounts there, you're probably gonna lead customers to follow you and just create that relationship that more likely is gonna be longer term. So, okay, so you created your profile. However, you need to start selling. So you need to start showcasing or promoting what you have. So when you're thinking about how do I do that, you go here to profile and go to administration. And administration, the first time you enter, it's gonna ask you, hey, welcome to Hoosier Food Market. You have created a profile. What do you want to do? So you can create just a profile, and that means that you're just gonna show what you got, but you're not gonna be able to sell. You're just gonna show. Or you can create your shop. And in your shop, you're gonna be able to sell, create order cycles, create reports, which are very, very important. And you can connect to other farmers markets or food hubs. And you can, of course, be a food hub, but I'm not gonna get into there because of the nature of this presentation. So once you say, I selected producer shop because I want to show you how to sell or how to promote your products. You're gonna get this this screen. And this screen is pretty much all you need to manage your account. So I have a shop front, meaning that, hey, I can start selling. If you click on Profile Live, and I'm gonna show you right now in a minute, you're gonna be able to see how many producers or how many businesses are in Indiana. And you can see the dots. It's like Google Maps. It's actually using Google Maps to place everyone in a live manner so consumers can use that. But you also can edit your profile. So let's say you change your logo, you go back and change it. But I want to start saying, hey, we're gonna add products because you just started. So you want to go and add your products. What do you need? The name of the product. What unit are you planning to sell? What's the value of the units? What's the price? And you can actually talk about stock levels. And why is that important? Because I know businesses who are having an excess of demand. So let's say, hey, I know I have an orchard and I know I can sell 100 pounds, but you don't have an inventory. So you just say, in a normal website, you would say, hey, I sell bags of Granny Smith apples, and you have 110 orders. That means that the 10 people that purchased already or paid for it, they're not gonna receive the product. So it just creates a little bit of confusion or sometimes you may not be knowing how much you sell. So you can talk about, hey, I'm gonna have 100 bags of apples, and as soon as purchase number 100 rings, the inventory's out. So that's not gonna be one of the products that you're gonna be offering. I also should suggest that you should have descriptions and images for each product, and those are very important. Think about when you go to Amazon.com, you're gonna see, of course, there's more products there, but people know what to do with an apple, but you wanna tell the characteristics that people want. Let's say, go back to apples. Was it pesticide-free? Was it organic? Is it local? What are the characteristics? Is there a new variety? What are the characteristics that made that apple the best apple that you can offer? Is it super juicy? Whatever you want to say, there is a description box for there. So this is what you get when you add a new product. So you're going to get a supplier. So in this case, there's only one business. But if you had two businesses, you can select which business you want to sell from. And the unit. So we have specific units, but in this case, I wanted pint. And it was not a choice for a pint of strawberries. So I added here, I wrote here pint. What is a product category? If you go, there's a drop-down menu that tells you anything from household to produce to dairy to you name it. There's a lot of categories, so you can find categories for your products. And why do you want to do that? Because you can create those reports, and you want to say, hey, how much dairy I sold, or how much of fruits I sold. So you can create reports per category, per size, per supplier, etc. So you need your product name, your value, and I'm gonna sell by the 2 pints in this case, and 2 pints are $2.50. And here is your inventory. So I did 0, so people won't be able to buy it. But let's say you want 10, you have 100 or 20. And if it's on demand, you do want to add a photo. And as I said before, a product description. And you boom, click create, and you got your product. And this is how you see, right? So this is what you're going to see. After you add the product, you're going to see all the products, all the producers, the name of the product, how many you got, and how much is going to be displayed. If you want more information, there is a lot of guidelines in the Open Food Network link there. The next thing that you're gonna get is a screen like this saying, hey, you need to create an order cycle. So an order cycle, it's pretty much telling buyers how often are you going to deliver. So let's say when you're thinking about farmers markets, you're saying, I'm gonna sell at the farmers market every Saturday. So your order cycle is, I can order from Sunday through Friday, because on Friday I'm harvesting. So my order cycle is 6 days, and Saturday I'm delivering. It's the same situation. Your order cycle is how long do you want to keep that inventory available for customers to purchase? And you can manage deliveries within that order cycle or outside that order cycle. So I created an order cycle for July in this case, and it went from July 1st to July 31st. I know some businesses have order cycles that are days or they're weeks. And then you can select for each order cycle, what products are you going to sell? And then instructions. Then you're going to get a method on the screen that says, how are you going to charge for those things? And payment method, in this case, you can have cash. Still, you got descriptions. You can charge flat rates for delivery, excuse me. But you can also create credit cards, PayPal. I don't think there's Venmo yet, but I think if you're using a Square, there's a way to connect Square through this. And then the next screen is going to say, hey, her business doesn't have a shipping method. So of course I need to tell the website that I need, how am I going to deliver those things? And again, you can go to those tabs and go back. Like, you're not going to mess it up. If you create something that is not accurate, you can delete it and create it again. So don't be afraid to play with it. And then you can just modify or delete it. So you need to create a delivery method. So you come here to create new. And the shipping method, in this case, I said, hey, I'm going to deliver at the West Lafayette Farmers Market. And I just add, please collect your order from our stand from 3 to 7. And it's a pickup, but you can also do deliveries. and you're gonna calculate. I was gonna calculate a flat fee. Pretty much that's all I had in this, but there's a lot of information. We're gonna keep putting videos, but just for the sake of time, and I don't want to spend more time, I just let me see if I can. I want to share you all how it looks like, so you would have. I'm gonna share my screen right now, so you would know what it looks. Share. Okay, you're gonna see my Hoosier Food Market. How does it look like? So again, I said I want to go to administration, and this is what you're gonna see right now. And these are the businesses in Indiana. But let's say I want to buy at Hoosier Food Market, right? So the stores that are in Indiana right now, these are the ones with an open order cycle. So the Purdue Student Farm, Obsessive Chicken Garden, you can have the list of producers that are selling. We can see the map, right? And then if you're a business, I showed to you before, this is where you manage everything. Come to each tab, you're gonna get everything that you need. And here are the reports. You can get reports by consumer, by delivery, by payment, by anything. You can manage everything, and here is your profile edits. You can come visible, or if you say, hey, I'm not gonna be able to sell in December, you become non-visible. But this is pretty much what I had. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any question. I'll be more than happy to answer. And yeah, we're excited. We hope that this helps businesses to have an online presence. And if you have a website, just connect it to it.
Ariana, we have a few questions here.
Sure.
The first, can you sell discounts, say buy two, get one free?
Yes. So you can, so when you create an order, you can say, for example, in my example of the strawberries, I said I have the value of 2. And in the description, so you create a new item of a strawberry. So let's say you're gonna sell 2 pints for 1. So you say you add strawberries and then value 2, the price, let's say $2.50. And in the description, you say, pay for 1, get an extra free. So people are gonna get 3 pints, or you just say, or pay 1, buy 1, get 1 50% off. You're gonna manage that through the description, and I would use some capital, some exclamation points, something that tells consumers how you see it. So I want to show you a little bit of, I guess I need to share this again. But basically, I want to show you what I meant by that. So here is online, see here. So here, what you have here, there's African peanut soup from the Good Life Family Farm. You would say here, pay 1, buy 1, get 1 50% off, or pay 1, buy 1 and get 1 for free. So when you're adding your products, what you're gonna do is here, you're gonna say, I'm gonna give you 2 pints, and then you explain that here, that it's a whatever promotion that you wanna have. I think there's another question that I think I saw somewhere.
Yeah, there are some more. Does this website have any relationship with Indiana Grown?
So that's something that we're trying to establish. We started exchanging with Indiana Grown. I think it's a great opportunity. They're both, I think Indiana Grown is serving, Hoosier Food Market and Indiana Grown serve the same purpose. It's connecting buyers to businesses, to local businesses or Indiana businesses. So we're still trying to figure it out how to do that. I think it's very important to show, if you are under the Indiana Grown label, to add that label into your product characteristics or into your product logo. So when you're adding a photo, you can say that here, Indiana Grown, or put the label there. That's so far how we thought about it. We're still testing what is the best way to support programs that are local. But definitely we see a lot of potential to do that. So yeah, use it as much as you can. You can use any label. I mean, if you do organic, use organic. If it's Indiana grown, use Indiana grown, and use it in your description and your photos. You can add any information that you want. And that's how so far we figured it out, but we still need to work through the details.
Now we have 3 more questions. The first one, are there any local food hubs yet in Indiana for this site?
I believe so. I believe there is a food hub in Fort Wayne. I understand, from my understanding, there is a food hub from Indianapolis who's connected to some vendors, and they basically also, so let's say the food hub has already their customers and they have too much demand, they can buy from producers, but their food hubs can also sell to consumers here. So I think there are 2 food hubs that are operating in Indiana, but I don't know what's the level of their operation because we don't have access to those reports that you would have.
Okay, another one, if you want to ship, can you connect shipping platforms such as ShipStation?
So I guess that's a very good question and I probably don't know how to answer, but if you send me an email and just ask me that question, I'll figure it out. I believe this is a very flexible platform. So if you're a customer, I'm not sure. I think you would have to go to this website. I don't know how well it integrates with other shopping platforms, but as long as there's a link, you're going to end up in this website. You can shop through this. But I'm not sure if I'm answering well the question because I've never heard of the other thing. So far, we're focused right now on the supply side. So we're focused on doing this. How do we put out this platform for businesses? And I think within a week or 2, we're going to start working more with customers.
The last question I have for you, Ariana, is can the Hoosier Food Market be your business webpage, or do you need an additional webpage?
No, you can be that. You can use it as your webpage. You can use it as a webpage. I would recommend using it as a webpage. And if you have a website, link it to it, or put the link here. But I would strongly suggest, if you don't have a website, this is a great way to be visible and to be in the map of Hoosier buyers or buyers in Indiana, because you're going to have a free tool that you can use, that you can make your business visible online.
Thank you very much. Now, there's one more question. Can you add recipes?
I love these questions. Yeah, I guess so. So what I would say, so let's say let me see if I can do that. Do you mind if I show the website right now?
Go ahead.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, I'm looking for, okay, here it is. So let's say I'm gonna add that. So I'm coming to my products and I'm gonna create a new product, and I'm only Hort Business. And let's say I'm gonna add a soup mix, right? Or let's say I'm gonna add something that I never know how to prepare is rhubarb. And it's not gonna be a fruit, it's a vegetable. So it should be here. And I'm gonna say rhubarb. I think this is how you spell it. And there's gonna be 1 rhubarb as a kilogram, and it's gonna be $3. I have 10, and it's on demand. Shipping category, this is my default. I only have farmers markets, but if you have different shipping categories, you can choose the file. It's pretty straightforward. And then here, this is your, so if you think about you're at the farmers market and you're gonna talk to your customers, you're gonna tell them, hey, this rhubarb is so and so and so. You use it like this, you just type in here and you have as much space as you want. You can write everything. When that product is described on a customer's, they're gonna see the first line. And what I would say is, let's say rhubarb, forgive me if I'm spelling it wrong, but it doesn't seem like, because it's not telling me anything. Rhubarb from red, let's say. And then you can write here, I would do something like see recipe below. Use any narrative that you would use if your customers were online. I think what you think about it is this is another way to be connected to people who are using online platforms. And then you write pie, rhubarb pie. And then you just write everything there. So when a customer is going to see it, it's going to see the description and they're going to see, hey, there's more text. They're going to see recipe below. And then you just create, and it's going to be in your list of products. And of course, it's going to tell me, please upload an image, of course. So yes, you can write anything. You can tell anything you want.